Good morning, Acadiana. Dave Schultz with you. Episode number 9, Schultzycast. I hope I did that right. It's a little quiet all of a sudden. I had to get up this morning and record Lockdown Sunbelt. I don't know why I didn't do it last night. Just had an off day yesterday. But I live right next to the kennels here in Lafayette. So they're not roosters, but these dogs get up awfully early. And I had a co-host this morning on Lockdown Sunbelt. I'll have to go back and listen to what that was like. All right, so lots to talk about today. Pelicans just didn't look very good against the Magic. They have not made the adjustments for all that much. I know they have. I know they beat the Bucks, but they just have not adjusted to without having BI, and I don't understand. I don't understand why. Zion, as well as he's played this year, I don't know. They just have not taken the game to the next level. Again, I said this before. The only way that they get better is if Zion gets an outside shot, and that means three-pointer. And that's not happening this year. I don't expect him to be in the gym, hitting him this year, but he needs to develop an outside game. At 6'6", you need to be able to hit a three-point shot. I mean, he doesn't need to be Steph Curry. Doesn't need to be Caitlin Clark. But he needs to be able to hit 25 to 30% of outside shots. You got to be a threat. You have to be a threat. Otherwise, everything that happens, he's going to complain about not getting calls. You got to be able to hit a three-pointer. All right, so the big news that came out yesterday was this Super League. So we all know that football is going to separate itself from the NCAA here eventually. And this was actually done by for The Athletic by Andrew Marchand, who actually is the media reporter, right? And Stuart Mandel, who's a college football reporter. And my guy, Kent Severud from Syracuse, trying to not to get Syracuse left behind, because I think Syracuse is going to get left behind when all this is said and done. But they want to have the 70 top teams, the current CST outline. What are they? College Sports Tomorrow. God, that just sounds bad from the beginning. They want to have the top 70 teams plus Notre Dame and plus SMU, who's joining the ACC. All right. The perpetual members would be in 7 10-team divisions, joined by an 8th division of teams that would be promoted from the second tier. The 50-plus second division teams would have the opportunity to compete their way into the upper division, creating a promotion system similar to the structure in European football leagues. The 70 permanent teams would never be in danger of moving down. That doesn't sound like a whole lot of relegation to me, while the second division would have the incentive of promotion and relegation. Okay, so I mean, already we're talking, you guys can move up, but the big guys can never move down. So I guess that saves Vandy, so to speak. But I mean, that's not going to work just on the thought process unless they somehow corral the transfer portal. All right. Because what you're going to have is that these group of 5 teams, and specifically we'll look at the Sun Belt, right? JMU is coming off a record, I guess it's 32 wins, right? 31 heading into the NCAA tournament. App State had like 27 wins this year, something along those lines, right? Like a school record. If they got moved up, they would get crushed. I don't know if that would be incentive for the guys to come back, but everybody's gone, right? App State, they got like 8 players in the transfer portal. JMU had a handful of guys in the transfer portal, although one is coming back. So you can't have, we're going to promote you after you have these great years, whether it be, I guess they're talking football, but that's going to be the same thing in like football, most likely, right? Because you're going to do it when you have these quarterbacks. Let's look at JMU, right? Jordan McLeod, up and about, took off. He's over at Texas State. So if you promoted JMU to the upper tier, they don't have their quarterback. So again, I don't know if that's incentive to keep the quarterback there or for the quarterback to stay. But this is all nice in theory, but I'm not sure how this is going to work in reality. They're already talking about losing another lawsuit, which is they've always lost all their lawsuits. NCAA always loses. So we'll see how this goes. They did have. I'd like the idea of there was one level-headed individual who said they don't think there's a whole lot of money out there, right? All these contracts are different, by the way. Big 10 is ending 29 and 30. Big 12 runs through 30, 31. SEC is 33 through 34. They did say that they think that the expansion from the 12-team playoff to the 14-team playoff happened because of this, when we haven't even had the 12-team playoff. Also, universities would own a percentage of the league, a model derived from MLS, where it was devised by former President Mark Abbott, who is involved with the CST. Unlike the soccer league, the revenue distribution would not be an even split among all competitors, as top brands like Alabama and Notre Dame would receive more of the financial pie. All right, so when does that shift, right? How is that figured out every year? Because is Alabama going to be Alabama now, right? I mean, Alabama, I presume Alabama is going to be a perennial top 25 team, right? Are they going to be top 10 perennial, right? Let's see what happens in Kalen DeBoer's, not necessarily this year, but, well, we'll find out this year as well, but, moving forward, right? Despite Nick Saban not always making the playoff, they were certainly always contending. And if they didn't make the playoff, Saban thought they should have made the playoff. How often what determines what tier you're at and what percentage is going to be broken up in? All right. TJ Smith, on the flip side, wouldn't get the transfers to go from schools who didn't move up. Yeah, I don't know. Then you would move to JMU and, so JMU moving up, you'd get better transfers? Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's a way of looking at it. Yeah, that's true. That's one way of looking at it. There was a line there. I need to find out. I need to see the line because it's a good line. Because they don't think there's that much more money out there. I mean, some of these, they just signed a 6-year, $7.8 billion deal. And I don't even know if these places are making money on it. Where is the, I know it's something about you're naive to think that there's a whole lot more money out there. Basically, I'm looking for that line. I can't find it. No. Oh, well. Let's see here. While critics in the media and college sports who have heard about CST have warned of private equity's involvement, Perna is, make sure we understand who this is. Perna is Len Perna of Turnkey ZRG, the search firm that places nearly all the top conferences commissioners, including recently the Big Ten's Tony Petitti. All right. What was I reading? While critics in the media and college sports have heard about CST, have warned of private equity's involvement, Perna insisted this is not a money-making venture for the individuals in his group. He said CST raised initial money to pay for fees incurred, but declined to say how much. The plan is for the new format to create more revenue on the premise that there is more TV money to be generated in a model comparable to the NFL TV setup. But I think it's starting to go the other way a little bit. All right. We're starting to see a little pushback on the money side of things. All right. And it may not be necessarily in college football, but Kansas City, in a pretty big deal, voted down tax money for the Chiefs and the Royals to build their downtown stadiums. All right. Like, where are the Chiefs going to go? Are the Chiefs really going to pick up and move? I mean, maybe. Okay, so they're in Kansas. Or no, they're in Missouri, right? Whereas it is right on the border. I've driven that past it. It's on I-70. If you drive past it, I mean, you're basically hit the border. So they're in Missouri. but Kansas is right on the other side. Like, I mean, a 4-iron from the stadium, or maybe a driver for some of us. So, do they move over there because they'll give them more money? Are they really going to do that? I mean, I guess they could. Also, you have this whole A's mess. Now they're going to play in Sacramento. They're going to be in Oakland this year, but apparently they're going to move to Sacramento next season. And so these poor people who work for the AAA franchise Sacramento Rivercats, who's been very successful, although I didn't realize that Vivek, the Kings owner, bought the team. You're going to have these people work 150 games a year? I mean, go work a minor league schedule, see what that's like. All right. I mean, I presume there'd be 2 staffs, I guess. They gotta build a whole thing. I mean, you get only so many people. I mean, they'd have to build 2 new locker rooms. I don't know what's going to go on, but they're getting pushback, right? And I still don't believe, by the way, I still do not believe the A's are moving to Vegas. You let me know when they break ground in Vegas. They got some nice drawings, but you let me know when they break ground in Vegas. I'm wrong. I will say it. I just don't think they are. All right. This guy, John Fisher, is as shady as it comes. And I'm not sure why anybody would want to do business with a man like that. Right. I mean, what guarantee do you have that he's going to put any money into the team? Right? What is he saying? Hey, I've been doing all of this because I've been trying to move the team and I haven't been able to get a new stadium in Oakland. So I keep on making the team bad. Like, they're demoting good players so they don't win because they're wearing wristbands supporting the Oakland fans. I mean, that's really touchy. That's really touchy. TJ pointing out a couple of things. Sacramento will have 2 AAA teams and UConn finally landed. We could talk about that here. The whole UConn airplane deal, what a mess, right? Like, the NCAA was in charge of this. Once the airplane had issues, which really is the important part, is that they arrived safely, right? We don't need any tragedies trying to go play a Final Four. But if I'm Danny Hurley and UConn, I was like, hey, guys, all right, we've been here for like 3 or 4 hours. Why don't you work on it and we'll come back and we'll fly first thing in the morning. Like, we'll go get a good night's sleep. We'll go get something good to eat. We'll get a good night's sleep. We'll meet back here at like 10 a.m. It's like a 5-hour flight, something like that. So that makes it 3, but you gain about 3 hours. So we'll be back here at noon and we'll do our media obligations. They arrived at 3 a.m. local time. And the NCAA is like, well, we're coordinating with UConn for the media obligations. First of all, it's Thursday. Settle down. If I'm Danny Hurley, I'd be like, I will see you at 3 p.m. Maybe. All right. My guys are going to we're going to go catch a couple of naps. All right. Now, they're young guys. So, and there is a time zone difference. But let's not pretend, they need to go and do some media obligations and answer some ridiculous questions that they've been asked 30 times. Now they're going to be asked about this. Just let them sleep it off. And we'll see. In fact, if I'm Danny Hurley, I was like, you know what? We'll see you Friday. How about that? I have not seen the video from the Final Four official page, but yeah, that's what. If I was Danny Hurley, I'm like, you know what, guys? I mean, obviously, it's not the worst thing in the world that they landed at 3:10 in the morning, but let's we'll see you Friday. All right, we're gonna grab some sleep. We're gonna run. We'll have a shoot around, and we're gonna grab some more sleep, and we'll be raring to go on Friday, and then we're playing on Saturday. All right. No, I think as much as the NCAA screwed that up, I think the UConn probably should have said, we're flying out tomorrow. No. Anyway, I don't think that was handled well at all. All right, back to the CST thing. I do think the NCAA is going to, college football is going to separate itself from this. I think people have some good ideas out there, right? That the NCAA, that the G5, or not the G5, the Power 5 football probably is going to separate itself in football. And then for basketball, we can go back to the way it was, I think, right? Like, Like the USCs and the UCLAs aren't going to be in the Big Ten very long, right? I don't think. Let's go back to the Pac-12. Let's go back to the Big East, right? You can maybe even bring back the Southwest Conference. Because this is football is driving all of this, right? Syracuse is only in the ACC because of football. They got left behind one time already. When Miami bolted for the ACC, I mean that was basically the end of Syracuse football is what basically happened. The late great Greg Robinson also had a piece of that. But football is eventually going to separate from the NCAA, and we'll see where we go from there. If they're talking about it, by the way, in the article in The Athletic, the SEC did not meet. They don't want to meet with them, as if they're going to upset them. Make sure we understand this. They don't even want to meet with them in case they're going to upset their TV partners. Don't you always hear about it? I don't understand that one. Let's just hear what they have to say. I don't know. I don't know what the issue is, just to hear what they have to say. So, but I'm sure more is going to come out about it. You do have, here's the one thing you do have, and I know this is just for football, but you do have all these coaches, both at the Final Four for the women's in Cleveland and the men's in Phoenix. All these coaches are together, right? Some of them looking for jobs, but it is like a coaches convention, and so you're going to get a lot of reaction from a lot of these coaches on what the future is of college sports. We do need to figure out the transfer portal. It is crazy. At the same time, you do have, the coaching carousel keeps on going, right? It hasn't ended yet, right? Andy Enfield goes from USC to SMU, still trying to figure that move out. And now you might have Eric Musselman, who's interviewing with USC. I know there's some Vantville and Los Angeles jokes to be made out there, but is USC that much better of a job? If he wants to find himself, has anybody heard of Andy Enfield since Florida Gulf Coast? Haven't heard one peep from him. If you want to go to oblivion and, not be found again, go coach USC basketball. Although if you do look at the Big Ten, he may have an easier path to win in the Big Ten. All right. I mean, I know Purdue's been pretty good, but has Illinois been that good for that long? Now, Michigan and Ohio State are down. You can't count on Northwestern to win. And Wisconsin's always pretty good, but it may be easier to win in the Big Ten, but I don't understand that. But now if Musselman leaves, all right, Will Wade down the street here in Lake Charles has decided I'm staying. All right. He's already said it multiple times, came out on a show, and he said he's staying. He was coming back for one more year. All right. But who's going to take Arkansas? Well, not that Musselman has left anywhere. And then if whoever takes Arkansas, what job does that open up? So everyone, all these players in the portal, 57, by the way, 57 Sunbelt players in the portal. Only 3 have transferred, 2 from JMU, 1 from App State, and Xavier Brown from JMU's gone back. All right. Also, by the way, Cajuns fans, if you didn't see the basketball banquet pictures, Kobe Julian is there. Joe Charles is there getting some awards. I always thought Joe Charles was coming back. I don't know anything, but always thought he was coming back. We'll see if Kobe Julian comes back. Themis Folks was not there. So I don't think that's a big surprise either. But in terms of guys coming back, we'll see if Kobe and Joe decide to come back. All right. If you were leaving, I'm not so sure if you're showing up at the end of the year banquet just to grab an award that someone can throw in the mail to you. All right. All right. Dave Schultz, it is the Schultzycast. Hey, we're up over 100 subscribers. Really appreciate it. TJ is all over it. TJ needs UConn at their obligations, Dave. I should be breakfast, right, TJ? They need to be there by 9 a.m. local time, right? TJ, by the way, is a Roll Tide fan. So you can already hear the UConn tears if they lose. I'm not going to buy the inconvenience of an early or a late night flight and early arrival they're not playing tomorrow, right? Or today. They're playing Saturday. They'll be fine, right? The college kids, you give them one night's sleep, right? You give them they're not taking a power nap. They're all going to bed for 7-8 hours. They'll be fine. All right. TJ Smith said Chris Beard. By the way, did you see Ole Miss hired, is it Quentin Hillsman? He was a Syracuse coach that did not leave on the best of terms. Like, it was crazy because he took Syracuse to the championship game against UConn. And then all of a sudden, there was a lot of problems internally in terms of all kinds of harassment. And Ole Miss didn't have a problem with it. And so they hired Quentin Hillsman as an assistant coach at Ole Miss. I say that because Chris Beard had his issues as well. Now everything got dropped in that one, but that sounds like the case of someone backing down. All right. All right. And like TJ said, sleeping 3 to 12, they're back on schedule. Very well could be. Right. Give them one good nap. They'll all power through it. Although yesterday I took a little nap and maybe I didn't nap was my problem. I was off all day yesterday. I was off. After my workout, I was off all day. Hopefully we'll be better. Did not get much sleep at all. Tuesday night into Wednesday. And then I took a nap and I was just off all day. All right. We got spring practice to cover today for the Cajuns. And I do have to reach out to all of the, for Lockdown Sunbelt, all of the football coaches just to see who I can get on, right? Because they're all going to be on vacation here real soon. Most of them are in the middle of it. Sean Clark may be done. So maybe we can go get Sean Clark for App State. But I do need to reach out for that. All right. Thank you very much for subscribing. It is the Schultzycast. Yeah, TJ, when I nap, we used to have a morning show here in Lafayette. I would set my alarm for an hour and a half. The only problem there is here I live next to dogs. Before I lived close to the train. So that's a problem. But I set my alarm for an hour and a half, mostly because it's going to take me 15 minutes to fall asleep anyways. But sometimes, very rarely would I sleep an hour, 45 minutes, an hour maybe. But sometimes you get that REM sleep and it's only been 20 minutes and you're like, wow, I'm raring to go. No, there's no 3-hour nap. No. These guys are going to bed. They're not taking a power nap. They're going to bed up until they get up for noon, like you said. So that is the case with UConn. All right, Astros with an 8-0 victory. Christian Javier, 5 shutout innings. Starting pitching has been pretty good over the last few games for Houston, right? No hitter, 8 shutout innings, and a shutout last night. So certainly hasn't been a starting pitching issue. I did notice that Josh Hader did not get into the ball game last night in an 8-0 win over Toronto. So Astros win for the second time this season. They are off today. This is their first off day, which is kind of odd. Although I guess when you're playing inside, you don't really need an off day. Also, did you guys hear? Let me see. Did they play last night? Oh, they did play last night. There was bad weather in Philadelphia, and Cincinnati beat the Phillies 4-1, but apparently they had to get the game in because someone booked the stadium for a wedding today. And Cincinnati doesn't go back to Philadelphia. They were going to have to go back during an off day, which apparently they did have later on in the season, but that wouldn't happen until September and only if necessary. But the stadium was booked for a wedding. Now, I mean, I would have called the wedding and said, hey, we're going to have a game around your wedding. Plus it's a makeup game. There wouldn't have been a whole lot of people there, but we'll accommodate your wedding, but we're going to have a baseball. You're going to have the best entertainment. You're going to have the best free entertainment you've ever had. We're going to be a Phillies baseball game. First of all, if you're getting married at the stadium, you're a huge baseball fan anyways. what are they going to say? No, provide a DJ. There wouldn't be that many people there. Probably during the day on a crappy weather day, anyways, in Philadelphia. It's mute because they played the game in Cincinnati won, but hilarious that the stadium was booked for a wedding today, and somehow they would have to come back. But I would have called the wedding party and said, hey, we're playing a game. Also, who's getting married during the day on a Thursday? Right? They wouldn't play that on a Thursday night, right? Is someone getting married during the day on a Thursday? I understand getting married on a Thursday to save, although I say save some money, but if you're renting out the ballpark in Philadelphia, I'm not sure how much, would seem to be smaller venues you could rent for that. So I'm not sure if money is an issue there, but yeah, you would, you get to throw out the first pitch, right? The bride and groom throw out the first pitch. You could absolutely make it worth their while to have. By the way, guys, wedding's still on. No problem. We had a rain out. You saw the bad weather. Weather's supposed to be much nicer for your wedding. We're going to work this game in around the ceremony. Maybe you do the vows at home plate before the game, right? Get the catcher to be the ring bearer or something like that. Come on. The Phillies would be, you gotta have some fun a little bit, right? You don't have to, it doesn't have to be like a football game where each and every game is the most important thing. And we don't want to be distracted. Have a little fun. It would have been hilarious. Yeah, we're going to work this ball game in around your ceremony. That would have been awesome. But TJ Smith vows during the 7th inning stretch. All right. So, no games tonight in the Sun Belt. Cajuns taking on ULM. They did not move in the Warren Nolan RPI. Still 47th. LSU is 40th. So no movement there despite not playing. Although this has changed on a regular basis. This changes on a regular basis. If you go to the predictive stats, I woke up this morning and they were 43-13 predictive stats. Now they're 44-12. They were something else. It's gone from, this is crazy. This is all in the last 2.5 hours. They've gone from 43-13 to 42-14. Now, overall, it's 44-12. They went from having their winning streak predicted all the way through the opening game of Coastal Carolina to actually losing Sunday against ULM and sweeping Coastal Carolina. Let's see what he's got here now. I love this stuff. So he actually has them losing to La Tech for the winning streak to end there. Losing the series 2 out of 3 to Coastal, sweeping Southern Miss, sweeping Troy, sweeping Georgia Southern, and taking 2 out of 3 from South Alabama. Here's the thing about the Cajuns. Again, predicted, whatever it takes, predicted results. RPI of 30, so they're getting in. Conference record of 26-4. And this came up yesterday on the RPI, and the schedule has just, unfortunately, it's worked out as anticipated, as far as I'm concerned, right? Wright State was good last year, but they're not any good this year. They got like an RPI like 187. Rice is awful, and the Cajuns lost 2 out of 3 to Rice. That's where the Cajuns RPI is struggling. They lost to Wright State, and they lost to Rice, and maybe Arkansas State. Arkansas State's like in the 200s, right? They did not beat LSU. They did not beat Vandy. They didn't even beat Houston. Houston's got an RPI in the 70s, so that's not great either. And that's why they're under this pressure to win all these games. Again, the predicted results, it's changed 3 times. So I'd say 44-12. 44-12. And that's what I said. They scheduled themselves. The Cajuns scheduled themselves to have to win between 40 and 45 games to not have to win the Sun Belt Conference tournament. Now they'll be in good position, and I guess it's single elimination these days. So they'll be in good position to maybe only have to win like 3 games if they get in that spot. But the idea is not to be in that spot. The idea is to be in the spot of trying to improve the seeding. That's all you're looking. That's what you want to do. If you can go in there 45-11, now that's 3 losses for the rest of the year. I don't think that's going to happen either. That'd be asking too much. But if you go in there 45-11, your RPI is in the high 20s, and all of a sudden you win the Sun Belt Conference tournament, I mean, you might have an outside shot to host. Outside shot. We'll see. But the pressure's still on the Cajuns. It's tough. It's going to be tough to lose, right? Losing on the road to Southeastern is not going to be devastating because it is a road game. But again, can you imagine what was it, 10 out of 11 at home? So 11, maybe a 22-game winning streak before they go to Coastal, if they can do that. And that's not the way baseball's played, but that'd be crazy. And their RPI would still be in the 40s, maybe high 30s. So we'll see. We shall see. It's certainly, it's fun, a little frustrating, but the Cajuns are the one that made their schedule. I'm sure they have issues, and it's tough to play a lot of Power 5 teams over here. Whereas, if you're in the App State area or the coastal area, you're surrounded by Power 5 teams. The Cajuns are not, right? They play LSU every year. They did. I guess you could go find an A&M, right? That's not that far. They just took care of Texas State. It's kind of tough to get a Power 5 team close by. I guess you could play in Mississippi, right? Neither one of those are that far. But there's not Arkansas, I guess, but there's just not a lot of Power 5 teams in the area. That's why LSU is always so good. They don't have to compete with another Power 5 team in the state. And we'll see how they do. We talked about this yesterday. He's putting the phones away. Is that a thing? Did something happen with the phones? The phones are the reason that they're not hitting or not pitching. The phones? I don't buy that. That's kind of like a distraction, like the LSU stuff, basketball stuff. Like she missed a 3-pointer because of the piece of Kim Mulkey in the Washington Post. Is that a thing? I don't buy that. Also, Jeff Landry. I mean, there's pandering and there's pandering. And I think Jeff Landry is finding out, and he's not a rookie politician, right? You get to be governor and you're attorney general, but he's just pandering because he thinks that the same people who are anti-Colin Kaepernick are going to be the same people who are anti-LSU not coming out for the national anthem. Has he been to an LSU football game, like ever? Correct me if I'm wrong, but the marching band plays the national anthem well before any LSU players are on the field. Neither team are on the field. Neither team is on the field, right? If it's a 6 o'clock ball game, or say 6:05 kickoff-ish, right? Isn't the national anthem like quarter of or like 10 of the hour or 8 o'clock, whatever it is, right? The team is not on the field during the national anthem. The band is on the field. The marching band refused to yield. No, that's not the case. Jeff Landry is going to find out quickly. You don't always have to press send. You don't always have to make a big deal out of someone else trying to make a big deal. Make no mistake about it. The people who put out those videos were trying to make a big deal out of it. They had their purpose. I think it probably backfired a little bit because, although I presume most people in this state did not appreciate Colin Kaepernick taking a knee, that's not what this was about. That's not what the LSU stuff was about. But it is just, pandering. And some people it's important. And most people, they see that that's not what this was about. Although I do not believe that Kim Mulkey or LSU did not know when the national anthem was. They certainly did. Now, whether they're out there or not, and apparently according to Big Game Chessie Boucher, they're never out there. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that. I've watched a lot of LSU games, and the national anthem is going to be before they get on TV anyway. Now, maybe not for Elite Eight games or Final Four games, but we'll find out the Final Four, right? Final Four is kind of on Friday. Very odd. Very odd. Okay, 50 viewers so far today. Please subscribe. We're up over 100. Go to the YouTube channel if you can get Locked On Sunbelt as well. That would be a big help. Try to get to 1,200 as soon as we can. We'll talk some spring football. We will talk to some players. It's been a minute because of spring break, but we will see some players and maybe some coaches coming up here today. So thanks very much for tuning in to episode number 9 of the Schultzycast. We'll be back again tomorrow. We're here daily, 6:55 a.m. as we are Acadiana's only local morning drive sports talk show. See, that's a mouthful. TJ, can you help me on that? I need Acadiana's only local morning drive sports talk show. That doesn't fit on a bumper sticker. That is not a slogan. I need something a little bit better. It could be Acadiana's only morning sports talk show, but that's not true either because foot's on in the morning. So, but we're only talking. We don't only talk Cajuns, Tigers. That's going to be the main focus. That's for sure. And Saints. We'll see what the Saints has there been a lot of Saints talk? Have I missed the Saints talk? The big trade was yesterday. We need to talk about that. Stephon Diggs to the Texans. Boy, Jack Easterby out at the Texans and how quickly they become contender. What a shock. Kick the guy out who doesn't know anything about football, and all of a sudden you have a contender. I am shocked. All right. Thanks again tuning in. By the way, Schultz Weight Loss Project. 215-ish. Well, under 216. We're going to go work out. We'll get a real weigh in, trying to figure out the exercise plan for this weekend. Because if I go to the class tomorrow at noon that I go to, I'm going to be late getting to Mississippi. So we don't want to do that. Also, how much I eat to Mississippi and on the way back, that's going to be the problem. I need to not eat, well, for lack of a better term, crap. That's the thing. I'll bring my protein shakes and pre-workout stuff and see what I can get done. But I am down 14 pounds. Yeah, I'm down 14 pounds since, I think, Valentine's Day, like February, middle of February. So that's pretty good. I got 6 weeks before seeing the family. I don't know if I can lose another 14 pounds, but that would be pretty good. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. It is the Schultzycast. I've said goodbye like 4 times. We will be back again on Friday. Have a great Thursday, everybody.